Hey guys, Christina Blackfeather here, and just sitting in my yard for a minute here and thought I would record a bit. Uh, Actually, I should be up and walking around. Why not? What the heck? Why not? Anyway, I thought I would talk about a conversation I've been kind of having on one of Michelle Lowe's videos. And there's certain vegan YouTubers I like. There's omnivore YouTubers I like and stuff. And hers is, I actually have gotten to enjoy her channel. I mean, some things, her and I've already had a couple spats about things, but nothing major. And so I thought I would talk about the conversation that we're having. Now, before I had my hysterectomy in 2018, and they had to remove a lot of stuff and sew things back into place, which is why I'm not supposed to be lifting and all of that stuff, but as if I behave. I had been vegan for a while, and I was on my third attempt. The first two I definitely, the first one I had tried was almost raw veganism, and that, no, got sicker than a dog on that. But I was doing okay, felt pretty decent, and I was losing weight, and this was before the incident I'm going to talk about. But it would be, I'd walk into a store and look at, like the sandwich in the store and stuff, and it'd be like, is it really worth the fact that an animal died because I am hungry for it? The animal is already dead, of course, because it's there in a sandwich. But that thought was there. And so I kind of was adhering to that more and more. And, sorry, picking raspberries here. Still got raspberries in October. Golden. Anyway, mukbang. I was trying not only to do it for my health, which was the main reason I wouldn't say I started out as vegan. I said I was more going for whole foods diet. And my doctor had insisted on whole foods as far as minimal processing as possible. And, includes meat and whole grains. So I have like jars that we've oven canned of whole spelt grains, steel cut oats, things like that. And now I found a good whole grain bread that I really like. Brown berry, organic, sprouted, and it's on the regular shelf. Really good. Anyway, I was already in that mindset. Now, growing up, I had that kind of mindset in the first place. Taking care of animals, and it was taking care of animals that were mistreated by other people, and then our own animals, and or breeding horses and showing horses and all sorts of things like that, and rescuing horses that had been badly abused. And honestly, I mean, some were really bad. One horse was almost crazy because of the abuse she went through. That's another little product from my yard. somebody had driven a pitchfork through her, into her butt by her tail. And it took years to rehabilitate that animal. And we did. We succeeded. Whoa. Oh my. I was a little puckery. But, like, there were times I had to, it's really hard to talk about. I had to take a bucket and a bag full of a litter of kittens that had just been born and water. That's all I'm going to say. And I was told I had to do that because people would keep dumping cats off on us all the time. We had up to 100 at one point, outside cats. We had no mice. Yet they all got their shots. They all had names and everything. But back then, you know, it wasn't really a thought, I guess, of spaying and neutering. But we did adopt cats out too. But they all got loved on and they all got cared for. But there was a lot of things like that, a lot of situations like that. And so that's how I grew up. And there was a lot of Native Americans around. And I kind of had adopted that spirituality really early. And wearing feathers in my hair and stuff in school when I was even 11 years old. And I'm not Native, but that's just the way life was, you know. I was greatly influenced by it. So, between deer hunting and I learned, you know, to thank the animal for giving its life, and I've taught my kids the same thing, you know, more of a spiritual animal. Well, over the years, you know, living as a nurse and so focused on people and taking care of my kids and all of that, I kind of lost some of that along the way. And I didn't realize till recently that I have kind of lost some of that. And so when I had gone vegan, I had an incident where I went out to a friend's farm and I was going to, I had put in an order for a whole hog to be butchered, and my friend had his pigs and he was going to do that. Oh, that one was fermented. Yikes. So I come out to pick up eggs. The chickens are super duper spoiled. They'll come up to you and want to be petted. He's got free range birds like crazy, and it's just fun to watch them. And they're happy animals. The pigs were happy animals. He's got nice big areas for them to graze and dig and have good pig lives and stuff. And so a very happy place. And going through the fence, he hadn't finished the big pen yet, so they were in a smaller one. And they came up and they were getting petted, and we were feeding marshmallows to them for treats. And I was a little squidgy at that point. Now, it turned out that there was a mistake, and I ended up not getting a pig by the mistake. And I felt relieved. Because I drove home from that day, you know, and I had the free-range eggs in my car. And really good duck, grouse, and chicken. But that still sat with me, and I told my husband about that too. and I was getting more and more uncomfortable with having any kind of meat product. And he's not vegan, he's not vegetarian, and he's even been prescribed things like eggs because of extremely low cholesterol and the MS, to try to keep a stable diet for him. So I've been home cooking, and I made meatloaf last week and meatballs in barbecue sauce, and I do a lot of hand stuff. And so that, I'm not going to force that on anybody, and I'm not even forcing that on myself. I've said before, the reason I stopped is because I still now have trouble eating like salads and things like that. I not only almost have an oral aversion to certain things, like it ends up now if I was drinking a lot of almond milk, and what was it, Dole or some other brand had almond milk with banana in it. It tasted really good, but at some point the mouthfeel of that, it just caused me an oral aversion that was really, really bad. I'd almost puke looking at the container. I don't know what happened there. But I also, like any raw greens, stuff like that, are getting very hard to chew. My whole mouth is extremely sensitive now. And that happened after they put me on the estrogen. And so I quit being vegan at that point because I couldn't do it. I couldn't chew. I couldn't eat. My teeth felt like razor blades in my mouth. And my whole mouth was uncomfortable. They all felt loose. And eating anything, even mashed potatoes, all of it hurt so bad. And I put meat and dairy back in my diet, and that kind of went away. Although sometimes, like I said, I still have issues with chewing, but I don't have the razor blade feeling. I don't have the feeling of them being loose anymore. And the only thing wrong with my teeth, which I'm going to the dentist tomorrow for, is 2 tiny cavities and 1 broken tooth. My wisdom teeth are out, but I have everything else. And there was nothing wrong with my teeth. So I don't know if it was a mental thing that happened, or if it was because I was missing nutrients. Probably missing fats and cholesterol. Entirely possible. But that time being vegan, and that's what I was trying to explain to this person, it did affect me, because it brought me back to that mindfulness of paying attention to everything around you and everything you put in. And yeah, I still have problems with junk food. I'm at 230 pounds again. The lowest I'd gotten down to was 214, unfortunately. But I've gone back now to trying the whole foods again and staying away from the junk food, because my A1C was horrible. It was 8.2. When I was vegan, it had gone down to 6.1. So, I'm not in good shape as a diabetic. I'm not. And I want to get off these medications, so I have to try again. But it's bringing me back to the mindfulness of what I'm eating. But not just that. The mindfulness is about life in general. The way I'm caring for people at work. For any new nurses out there or student nurses, if you're working in group homes, you're working in home care and stuff, they're people, they're not numbers. Please keep that in mind. A lot of these people, their families don't come to see them. They don't They don't get interaction with anybody but the nurses. Treat them like human beings. Treat them with respect. Converse, care for them the best you know how. And be kind and be gentle and be calm. Those were things that I had learned over the years too. And it has affected me recently. I'm greatly enjoying my new job. I'm working there tonight. I love it. And I'm still working my old job too with the kids. But I think my stint trying to have, I'd call it a mindful diet, is what I'm trying to do now. To give it a proper name would be mindful. But the lessons I learned trying to be vegan was the awareness of how bad things can be for those that can't speak out for themselves, whether they're human or animal. Now, unfortunately, there are things that happen that with the vegan diet too. And I know there's several vegans like Freely who don't like the words vegan diet. But if any way that you eat is a diet. So it is a proper term. With the organic farming, they still use a lot of fertilizers that are manure-based, which is an industry. So, a lot of vegans don't like that. Michelle Lowe and Garland Farms, mainly Garland Farms, showed what happens with organic farming for pest control, at least in Europe, I think. They use dogs, and they turn up the soil, and the dogs just kill the rats. They grab them, and they just shake them, and then they go on to the next one. And some of the rats are still sitting there kicking and are paralyzed. And that's how they organic farm. So if you're on a vegan diet and you're doing nothing but organic farming, there's a lot of animal death. There's a lot of animal death, like they said, with nests of bunnies and things like that can't escape the combines and can't escape the plows and all of that, that end up dying. Ground squirrels, rabbits, deer. Farmers will be out shooting rabbits. They poison them. They're poisoning rats. They're poisoning all sorts of things. So a lot of animals still die. And these vegans will say, well, it's less evil than what's going on with cows and pigs and stuff. No, it's not. If you go non-organic, there's the issue of the phosphate farms in Florida where land is just getting absolutely destroyed, and you're getting high uranium, you're getting highly toxic water waste, all sorts of things. Now, I do not like factory farming. Unfortunately, there's times that's all I can afford is stuff that came from factory farms. And you have to kind of live within your means at times. But we do damage no matter what we eat. Unless you're growing your own food, and I can only grow so much. I mean, next year I'm going to get the potatoes in and the sweet potatoes, and I don't know if I'm going to throw corn bed in or what I'm going to do yet. And of course I buy a lot at the farmer's market from people that I know. Many had been at my wedding. But we do damage anyway. Now this whole yard is organic. I do not spray. I don't do anything because I eat the dandelions. I eat the Purslane. I eat the Creeping Charlie because it's a mint. I eat the hostas. I have Solomon's seal, that's edible. I have cuttings from my lost apple trees that are starting to leaf out. I have one apple tree left. I'm planning on getting some apricot trees. I don't spray. I don't treat. So, I do organic compost, and I make my own compost. That's my treatment. And I weed by hand. And I plan on having a 2-year-old child with medical needs come and play in my yard in the summer. I don't want anything toxic. And it was bad enough dealing with the lead spray from the recycling plant that was a mile away that is no longer active. And my health has improved greatly since they stopped. So I think my garden's healed, and I got a lot of stuff that I'm going to pull out, like the amaranth is going to get pulled after it seeds. So all of these leaves have pulled more things out of the soil. Now, mind you, I've eaten a lot too, but it's now been almost 2 years. And I physically feel so much better. My symptoms of arthritis went away. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So they were kicking out lead, they were kicking out all sorts of heavy metals into the air. And, so I try to minimize what damage. And there's sometimes I kill earthworms by accident, But I got bees bumbling around and all of that, honeybees and bumblers, and I love it. I got squirrels and birds. I lose a lot of stuff to squirrels. And I got bunny rabbits. And I even plant stuff just for the bunny rabbits. And then I fence off what I don't want them into. That's the extent of my pest control. But not everybody can do that. There's people in the city here that are in apartments and don't have this. Even though I'm renting it, they don't have this. I'm lucky. Not everybody is lucky. And a lot of people have to live within their means, and their means are not great. So that's something we have to consider. Every single diet we do is going to damage something. And vegans, especially really, really hardcore ones, need to consider that it isn't just about the animals. This is environmental too. And there's an argument right now among vegans whether to go organic or not, and they say an organic's bad because of the animal product use. Well, so you're going to destroy entire ecosystems? How is that appropriate? And I encountered another vegan that turned around and said that as soon as they became vegan, they threw out all their meat, threw out every animal product they had, clothing, food, everything. They didn't give anything to a food shelf. Nothing. They didn't give it away. They threw it. I chewed them out. I'm like, so you let those animals die in vain now. You wasted their lives. For what? It's about being mindful of what we're doing to our environment. And the environment includes the animals and the land and the planet we live on. If you like your house clean, why don't you like having the outside clean? Stuff like that. And maybe I'm speaking from a point of privilege here because, again, I said, I can have a small garden. I can do all these things. And a lot of people can't. But it was just random thoughts. I thought I would talk about it. And yeah, like I said, I'm not vegan. I may go back to it someday. I don't know if but my goal in the long term is to homestead and, have chickens and have ducks and stuff like that, and have way of growing a lot of my own crops. And I mean, I know it's going to be a lot of work, but hey, if my mother can do it at 83, I can do it, And I know I'll have to take care of my husband too a lot more, but that's okay. That's retirement to me, is to be as self-sufficient as possible. Sell my jewelry, sell my leather work and stuff like that, but I want to be back on a farm. I want to be back in that life. And I'm sure I'm still going to have to work 3 days a week or something just to maintain insurance. And that's okay, because then I'm outside the house and I'm taking care of other people and doing another thing that I love. But I know not everybody can go and homestead and, do things like that and take care of a small farm or whatever. I know that. But even then, I think everybody can at least learn to be aware of what they're doing and how they're affecting the world around them, and make some good changes. And it doesn't have to be that you go completely plant-based and not eating meat or again, you eat what you can afford to eat. You take care of your family first, and you take care of yourself first, but still be aware of everything that you're doing around them. So that's what I learned from being vegan. So hopefully I made myself clear. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is now dark out, and I gotta go check my leftover refrigerator soup on the stove. So blessed be everyone. You have a fantastic night.